my own personal challenges as well as within the business. My approach for the last 45 years, giving away my age a little bit, has been about an all or nothing approach. So where every area that needed fires putting out, I would put all my efforts in there to the detriment of other areas. And now I knew I needed to make some drastic changes because I did not want to continue living my life in the way that I was operating. I wanted to have a more balanced family life ratio, so that I could also enjoy the good quality time with my family. I also needed to make some change in myself within the business world, in that I needed to not take things so personally, in that I was there to do a specific job, and always being in finance, you're perceived as being a policeman, which is a very hard position to be in. Policemen to say no to things, and then you feel like it's very personal when people come and attack you. And I needed to learn to not take matters so personally, and not to back off when people don't like what they hear, because it isn't personal. Just a few weeks later into this year, news hit of the COVID outbreak in China. And we were all wondering in this country how it was going to impact us, and was it going to affect us, and how would it affect our already suffering and weak economy and high unemployment rate. So as I might have alluded to, I'm very much of a control freak who likes to know the outcome and control situation. And if anything, I mean, COVID has taught me that life is beyond my control. And here I am thinking I can dictate. If I put more efforts in, then the outcome will be more favorable. And the fact is that there was so much uncertainty, and still is, around COVID, that nobody knows where we're actually going. At this point in time, being March, the likelihood of finding, which I was looking for, an opportunity, was unlikely, with the news of COVID hitting. And I thought, that's done and dusted. I just need to move along with it and take each day as they come, which was hard, as I mentioned, being a control freak. Out of the blue, I got a call from a headhunter looking for a chartered accountant. And so we began a round of interviews, and that was telephonic interviews. So remember, things had already transformed and changed as a result of the COVID outbreak and pandemic. My first face-to-face meeting, and my only face-to-face meeting, because I didn't have any more of those, and I was very fortunate to have one with the major shareholders, took place, and that was on the Friday just before the presidential announcement. And boy, were we dropped with a bomb. On that Sunday night, Ramaphosa stood up and said, we're going into phase 5 of a lockdown. And so everybody's world was turned upside down. And how I was thinking, wow, okay, that's the end of that. No opportunities coming. People are going to be retrenching all over the place. How are we going to sustain ourselves? What is going to be the impact on an already suffering and weak economy? And so many thoughts of doubt went through my head. And I thought to myself, it's no chance. I don't know, it is so remote. These are such abnormal circumstances that we found ourselves in, where we had to use online mechanisms. And for a person coming into a new position where they need to meet new staff, get accomplished within a new industry, new processes and new systems, seemed very far reach and unlikely that company would actually take the risk of this sort. And so I was quite ambivalent about it. On the Tuesday following the presidential bomb-dropping address, I received a call from a client informing me that they wanted me on board. I still said to them, Are they actually joking? Am I hearing right? Did you hear the speech on Sunday night? To which the answer was, yes, we heard the speech. And so what's the problem? The answer is affirmative. We definitely want you on board. So contrary to self-doubt and how things normally run in the world, and as we know by now, we are so far from in control. This was clearly miraculous, where companies were retrenching, and here I was going to be hired into a brand new position, not knowing anybody from a bar soap, not knowing my people, having to manage a team, and I thought this was a little bit ludicrous. I felt very overwhelmed, and those initial feelings before I went into 2020 year, I was feeling again much trepidation and feelings of wanting to back off and feeling overwhelmed. And I had to remind myself that this is part of the change that I wanted to make within myself. So here I was, having to face emails, telephone calls, online platforms, which is something that I tend to shy away from, and I prefer face to face. But with no choice, I had to forge forward. So, with much grit and with learning to take each day as it comes and put my head down and start to wade through the unknown one step at a time, I started to build relationships within the company. And so I started to learn my team. Half my team were being outsourced at the time, half the team were being insourced. And so they didn't know me, and so I didn't know them either. And we were in very uncharted waters and territory. So one of the most important things I learned is listening skills. On a Google platform or on a Zoom platform, there's no ability to actually interrupt. And well, there is an ability, but you don't get your point across very well, and it becomes very overshadowing where people are talking above one another and trying to get their words across, and there are time delays in the communication. I had to learn to listen really well, which stood me in good stead, because I started to process on a lot of other people's insights and feelings. So definitely had a lot of advantages there. One of the other advantages is that I was able to schedule planned meetings, and my meetings were very structured around getting a certain outcome. So it was no longer just spontaneous, a person popping into your office and having a quick chit chat. I was able to actually plan with a sole purpose in mind as to what my meetings were about and what my goals were, so that I could achieve them. And yes, I found that it is extremely tiring on these platforms, and I was extremely exhausted for the first couple of weeks, probably the first month or two, because a lot of focus and attention needs to be applied when you are talking on these platforms. And also the fact that you can't read body language as much as you would on a face-to-face meant that you needed to pay far better attention to what was actually being said. But I had the luxury of learning about the business and its people without being tainted by emotional attachment. So here I was, I didn't know anybody from a bar or soap within the company, nor my team per se, but here I was building a relationship, which was extremely important, but with the notion in mind that I was going to do what needed to be done in a strict format, in that I was not also tainted by emotional attachments and being influenced by the fact that this came into play. So that dynamic fell totally out of the picture. I was fortunate because being an accountant in some ways very black and white, and as I like to say many a time, that figures don't lie. So I was able to focus on the bottom line. I was able to get rid of the riff-raff in between without getting sucked into complications of people, dynamics, and emotions. And I analyzed what was going on within a business from a financial health perspective, which was critical in terms of them moving forward into this uncharted space, being COVID, with so much uncertainty going on as to when or where or how income was going to be affected or coming in. And I was able to develop a strategy which resulted in far more revenue being driven, as well as cost-cutting initiatives and debt collection, which saw the company in very good stead and put them on a different plane. So in these difficult times, not only did I find a position in the midst of COVID, but I was able to excel. And I recently was appointed as a financial director. I was also able to take the company to new heights and improve on revenue generation and cost-saving initiatives. I'm also in the process of implementing various systems which will improve efficiency and cut many man hours per month. So to end off, COVID has been a catalyst in me achieving new heights within myself and also taking my company to the next level. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Elaine. What an inspiring story. Wow. And must be incredible to have started in a crisis and ended on an up note. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. I'm now handing over to Bradley Davis.
Hello.
And Bradley literally gave birth to a brand new company through COVID. The idea started with just the idea to help people. So Bradley, over to you.
Hi everybody, I hope you're all well. My name's Brad, I'm 42. I was in the car industry for the last 9 years of my life. I've been in retail pretty much since I left school. I was retrenched 6 days before shutdown with 3 kids, private schools, 1 day notice. We left on very good terms from the dealership, still speak to them quite a bit. And I had a thought, what thought would be a nice little holiday for 6 days, came to a big realization that there's still bills to pay at the end of the month, and those are not going to go away very easily. So I spent 6 days with my kid and my wife, and we had a lot of fun. And I realized end of March I have a salary, not nearly enough to live, because I hadn't sold any cars that month, with COVID around the corner, well, literally about to hit us. And I went to realize the end of April there was literally like zero money coming in. So being the person I am, outgoing, lovely spoken, I know a lot of people, I love helping people. I'm also involved with the security in my area. I look after 1,500 households, which I don't charge for. I'm on 24-hour standby, hence I'm a bit tired this morning. I had a call at 3 o'clock this morning, but all good. So I mean, I respond to hijackings, murders, robberies, drownings, whatever. It just doesn't end. And I loved helping people. So I thought about collection and deliveries. And I thought to myself, you know what? Unfortunately, the people in the retail stores, Woolies, Pick n Pay, all the big chain stores, were not trained quick enough. Obviously, this hit us, full force very quickly. We're not trained to actually deal with the amount of orders coming in. So I just came up with the idea like, okay, you order and I'll just go collect it and I'll deliver it and I'll charge you 150 Rand, or depending where you stay. And my first job was a guy phoned me, I'll never forget this, and I still speak to him to this day. It was on the 29th of March, it was my first job. He phoned me and he said, Brad, I need a SIM card collected. Can you go pay for a SIM card and just charge me to deliver it? I'm too scared to go. So I said, okay. I said, but the SIM card's only 3.50 Rand. I can't charge you 150 Rand to come. He said, no, you charge me. Anyway, that's how it all started. And he got online. And I think obviously word just spread. I got a lady on board to help me build a web page, not a web page, a Facebook page. I'm busy with the app now. So it actually developed into me registering a business within 2 weeks. I had to get my travel certificate to travel legally on the roads, when COVID first came out. So I registered the business. I've trademarked it recently. I've trademarked my logo, so no one can use my logo, no one can use my name. My wife's in trade marketing, so that was pretty simple. I then went to advertise myself. I had flyers printed. I had 300 Rand to start the business with all. In honesty, I only had 300 Rand to my name, and I said to my wife, I'm going to put 150 Rand petrol in my car, in my Honda, which is a juice guzzler anyway, and I'm going to take 150 Rand. We're going to buy milk and bread and whatever. I'll put it on the table, and it's exactly what I did. And that 150 Rand developed into 700 Rand cash, and everyone was paying me cash. And eventually, I can't just take all this cash. I want to put money in the bank account, so I used my bank account. And then there was a whole SARS thing involved, and I thought, no, let me just do it properly. So fully registered, PTY Ltd, done everything. And I registered an email address, which is brad@readysetdelivered.coza. I had flyers printed. I literally went all out. I thought it's a do or die situation for me. And I do shopping. I even have pensioners days where I do pensioners rates. I do discounts and pensioners, and we do virtual shopping. I've shown some pensioners how to actually go onto video, and I can show them what the shop looks like, and me actually taking the product off the shelf, which is phenomenal. And they're absolutely loving it. We have I've made so many friends and so many contacts, and I've even learned how to eat healthy at my ripe old age of 42. By buying healthy food, I just end up buying myself healthy food and my family healthy food. And it's just like, it's changed the way of the world. And I've actually got my colleague, who's just over there, he's Joseph. He's sitting with me today in the background. I've worked with Joseph 17 years ago, and we just happened to bump into each other at Genesis in Fairmount at an ATM of all places. And if a lot of you on Facebook, you'll see his story there. And I said, what are you doing? He said, well, he lost his job. So I said, oh, wow. And I know he was fixing shoes. He's a cobbler, he fixes bags, shoes and everything. So I said, what are you doing? He said, no, he's come to fetch his wife from work. Every day he sits in the parking lot from 8 till 5. I said, no. I said, that's not happening. I said, you want to work? He said, yes. So he's been with me for 6 months. I've taught him kosher shopping. I've taught him everything he knows. Unbelievable. See that clapping for you, Jojo? And Joe's a phenomenal human being. He's with me now. We're going to do shopping just now. I've now branched into doing license disc renewals, which has become a huge, huge thing. I'm loving doing it. So I went and had 1,000 licenses holders printed. So if you think about it logically, I should think there's a year's free advertising on the car for me when I put my license disc holder there. So I get a year's free advertising when I put a new license disc on the car. I didn't know this business would take off the way it did. I got over 300 active clients. I have phone calls and emails all day, all night. And I'm just blessed to I'm not making millions yet. Please God, one day. I have investors that want to come on board. So I'm busy with them. We're busy negotiating how they want to work. I've never done this before. So yeah, I've got a bookkeeper. She does my invoicing for me because I was staying up till 3, 4 every morning. And my body just couldn't handle it, I said to my wife that, I hate shopping. I can't shop with you. I don't like shopping with you. And now I'm doing it for a living. So I have no choice but to shop for my wife too. So yeah, it's a really lovely story, lighthearted, inspirational to a lot of people, which I'm very happy for. And I've helped a lot of people, and it's not only about the shopping and the making money. I go to some old ladies and old gents' houses, and they're sitting there alone. Their families are all overseas, and I've got a little bar shopping. I've got clients in Florida, Miami, Chicago, Boston, very religious families in Boston that have got family here I'm doing shopping for. So that I've got a special credit card facility that can pay me through international. I've got clients in the UK and Australia, and I've got one in Canada. Well, all their parents are staying here, and it's not only about that. I mean, I go shopping and I go sit with them and I drop their shopping and they pay me the same night or the next day, whatever. And we sit and chat about World War II, about whatever just comes to mind. And I sit there for half an hour if I've got a bit of time, or 20 minutes, and we chat. And it's just so nice for them to see a person. Obviously, we have to be careful. We wear masks and and I sanitize. I had over 1,000 sanitizers made that I printed my labels on, and I just handed out to everybody on all the shops that I did. So I've done a lot of marketing, and I've got people on board, and obviously going up for the awards. So I'm very thankful and very grateful. And please God, this business will grow from strength to strength, and I can have more people like Joe who's sitting next to me. Yeah. And yeah, I'm getting into everything, home affairs, but I'm trying to stay away from them, but it's just a nightmare to deal with them. I've doing license registrations. I'm doing roadworthy on vehicles, being in the car industry. I'm helping people buy cars even, so they can come to me. You want to go buy a car and you don't know anything about a car, you can call me and I'll phone the dealership. I've gone online. I've sold 3 cars that way already. And I just get like 1,000 rand from the deal or whatever. Some of it I donate to charity, Hatsula, whatever. And I call myself literally the personal assistant on wheels. And that's how it is. I am your personal assistant on wheels. You know, if you've got a PA like all the ladies sitting here, I see Tracy smiling nicely. You don't have to send the PAs out to do the shopping, because they'll go have their nails done and then they'll meet their friends for coffee, and the big boss wants them back at the office. You know, it's risking your car, it's risking time, money, energy. So you just phone me and say, Brad, I need 20 tins of coffee for the office, and I'll be there. So a lot's happening, a lot can happen in the business, and a lot will happen in the business. Yeah, so mine's just a very light-hearted, uncomplicated, just from who I am. I'm a very simple person. I didn't study entrepreneurial mind that I've always wanted to use. I've never wanted to work for anyone. And now I'm working for myself, and I'm happy, and I'm happy to help anyone. Yeah, and
Brad, what a
it's hard
beautiful
work.
story. Wow. I am sitting here literally smiling from ear to ear. It's so rare to find a man that can shop and do it so well. I do know that for everyone on the call, to try and get hold of you on a Thursday, Friday before Shabbos is so difficult, because you have all your orders and stuff to do. And I love the story, and the fact that you started with literally nothing and have built it up to what it is today. It brought to mind a quote that I read once by Winston Churchill, which said, "Success is not final, failure is not fatal. It's the courage to continue that counts." And it's such an honor to have you on our platform this morning. You know, Jackie said, you have to get Brad on this call. He has such an amazing story, and it truly,
Thanks,
truly
Jane.
is. So we wish you all the best of luck for the Achievers Awards, and
Thank you.
thank you so much for your time this morning.
You're most welcome. Thanks for having me on board, and I've enjoyed every minute of it. I'm looking forward to the next features.
Thank you. And now we are going
Thanks.
to hear from Jackie. Jackie Martise started a business called JM Designs, which is hand-painted table coverings. It has a national reach, and there has been inquiries and the possibility of doing business internationally. So Jackie is part of our program. We're so grateful for all the input she gets to All South Africa and Jet. And I'm handing over now to Jackie.
Thanks so much, Trace. I really appreciate it. And I love the authenticity. I love the authenticity of all your speakers here today, and of course of Alt, and very grateful to be part of your incredible organization. So my story is very much similar to everybody else's during this crazy COVID period, I always say. You know, everybody through COVID went through their own little story and it was a story of loss. Everybody lost something through COVID. And I had a consulting business. I've still got a consulting business for many years. Don't want to give away my age. I do BE consulting, which obviously I do for Alt as well. And, you know, the economy has been feeling a pinch for a long time. And, you know, when COVID obviously hit, it hit with such a bam that everybody just went into complete shutdown. And my husband's an entrepreneur, and so am I. And you look elsewhere, and you've got to, like, you know, you can't go into that moment of, oh, please, you know, help me, what's going to happen to me. So I think automatically you kind of do a SWOT analysis. So you look at your strengths, you look at your weaknesses, you look at opportunities, and you look at the threats around you. So I looked inwards, and I looked at what are my strengths, what am I good at, and I have always been artistic. And many years ago, I painted a tablecloth for my mom. Actually, that's where it all started out. And I thought, well, how can I actually monetize this? Like, what can we actually do to monetize it? So I thought, you know, all the kids are at home. They're all working on their mom's tables, probably drawing all over the tables by accident. And I thought, let me just take this out. And as Brad says, you've got to start off as you mean to go along. So the first thing was obviously to create a name and create a brand, because, you know, I wanted repeated so that everybody could kind of see it. And created a Facebook page and started as I went along. So I never really had stock. And it it's more about, you know, what I'm wanting to actually say today. It's not about my journey and what I actually did. I think it's more about, you know, what makes us different. How do you actually get out there? And I just think that everybody sells time, whether you're selling a product, whether you're selling consulting, everything is about time. There's always time at the back of it. And you always need to look at your investment that you're putting into that time and how are you going to monetize it. So, you know, you really want to do it with a positive energy and a positive outlook on doing it. And in order to do that, you've got to, you know, be pushed out your comfort zone. And it's not a bad thing to feel uncomfortable in that moment. So, because it pushes you to do other things and better yourself. And then, you know, also look within the world and see where trends are moving and to keep up with those trends in the markets. And, you know, there are always things that make us feel a little bit uncomfortable. So, you know, looking at JM Designs, I'm not a marketer. So, you know, I went into Facebook, I created a Facebook page. You know, I kind of know Facebook, but I don't know the marketing side of it. So I just became like kind of religious in my posting, in ensuring that, you know, I showed the authenticity of who I am and the authenticity of my product, and just kept engaging with my market as much as I could. And just, you know, I was on time, show people that I'm engaging with them. And yeah, that's really very much about me. I mean, you know, there's, as I say, you know, I think that you've just got to, through COVID, I think it's very important to keep moving forward, to keep staying positive. You know, yes, everybody's entitled to have a bad day, but to just keep looking how you can keep developing yourself and growing. And it's important for us to show everybody around us and our children that you just don't give up. And yeah, my business, thank God, is just growing from strength to strength. I also didn't want to show any kind of desperation. So I didn't want to like kind of do tablecloths and, you know, do a million products at once. So slowly I'm kind of introducing new additional products into my business. But, you know, it just also shows a little bit more of sustainability out there. And that's really me in a nutshell. Trace?
So Jax, I know that you're very low key, and I have seen your products. They are absolutely magnificent. And I have also seen the regular posting, the regular communication, and the way that you have built your network with knowing limited stuff on Facebook has been really, really incredible. I do though suggest you attend all the Orchard webinars to upskill yourself on any digital side of the assistance that you need. And it's just a beautiful story, and I love your stuff. I'm personally intrigued by it, and thank you for sharing it with us. Thank you always for being part of our community and for all the assistance you give us, and we're so grateful to you. Before we cross over to Larry and Annie, I just wanted to open up to see if there are any questions so far for Elaine, Brad, Jackie, that any of our participants would like to ask. Kind of waiting for Ellis. Hi, Stephen.
Hi, Tracy. Thank you so much.
Do you have a question?
Comment, a question. Just thank you for being able to let us connect to this wonderful inspiration and positivity and the courage of people. And I want to ask Elaine just to say that I think she maybe should become an uncharted accountant during this time, in uncharted waters. But when she says about improving the debtors book, and how did you go about that? I mean, in this day and age, I mean, what was the strategy of not having a greater debt in the company?
So it's an excellent question. Yeah, it's an excellent question. So what I did was that my strategy was to hit hard. to get more people on board to actually do the calls. So I needed to focus on doing the calls and engaging with our students. So the company that I am director at is a higher education institution. So it maybe makes it a little bit easier in terms of the fact that it's education. However, on the flip side, people actually think that they have a right to free education, which isn't the case because it's a private institution. So what I did was I rallied the team, met with our debtors collection people in-house every second day to formulate a strategy as to who were we phoning, who were we calling, and then we proceeded to different phases of actually handling that debt. So first phase would be a call to engage, and then following that would be some more harsher approach in the form of a letter, and then following that, sadly, we had to suspend some of the students' services to get results that were needed and for the fee payers to actually take a bit of notice as to what we're doing. I've also been looking at other avenues for managing people's let's say financial challenges in terms of being able to afford the fees. So there are some other avenues within the industries that seek to be almost like a middleman between our educational institution and the actual fee payer, and thereby making it more affordable for that fee payer to pay their fees, but also that the risk would not rest with our company. Hope I've answered your question.
Thanks, Elaine. Are there any other questions for Brad, Jackie? So
Anyone need
I think
deliveries?
Brad, sorry?
Anyone need deliveries? No one's asking me questions. I can
Everyone,
answer questions.
so everyone needs deliveries. That is the answer.
Furniture, anything? Nothing. Okay. Then I'll mute myself again.
No, you're welcome. Brad, you are welcome to put your details into our chat box so everyone can take them down. I also encourage Jackie, Elaine, if you would like to post your details in the chat box, please do so. And I think, part of this whole transformation, these words that we've been hearing this year have really just been about pivoting, evolving, changing, and each one of your stories has shown how you took on a challenge that was an extreme challenge and kind of just ran with it and transformed yourselves and your lives to something on a different level. Helene has just joined us. So,
hi. Maybe we can open up the floor. We're waiting for Larry to come in. So
yes.
Maybe we can open up the floor to the audience and tell us if you've tried things. Have they worked for you? Have they not worked for you? Maybe we can have a little bit of a business sharing forum while we wait. Is there anybody who else would like to discuss what they've been doing during COVID and how they've had, managed to generate an income?
So Jackie's posted her details in the meantime.
Okay. Just going forward, we're trying to get hold of Larry to come in. But as business goes, in today's times, it's quite important that everybody thinks about their side hustle. And they also think about, like Jackie did, the things that they did when they were younger, because a lot of businesses come from the life that you've led and the things that you've done probably in your early 20s. As Jackie said, she did a little bit of painting, And knowing Jackie, I never even knew that she was creative. So she dug deep into her historical assets, if you want to call it that, to be able to come up with the business. Brad Davis, I don't know you personally, but listening to your story, I can hear that from being in the car industry, and I know that the car industry crashed because you weren't able to, do demos, you weren't able to work, you weren't able to sit with the dealerships, and clearly knowing, you did something to do with cars, you did deliveries, and you also, as a salesperson, touched on what was really important to you in your industry was to connect with people so that you were able to do that deal. And although the deal now wasn't selling cars, it was getting people to buy into you going to do their shopping for them, form a relationship with them so that they were able to, that you were able to expand the business. And I hear very much by word of mouth. So everybody, think of your side hustle. Even if you are employed, think of something that you can do that will allow you, should you lose your job, to be able to come up with something else. And the post-COVID or during COVID time is no different. It is no different in that one has to make a living. Jobs will be there, but they will be different. Think entrepreneurially, because one can never fire oneself. So if you have something on the side, build it. Let it work. A lot of our Ortjet businesses started off by experimenting. If we think about our last year winner with Orit, she started off baking in her garage. Today, she's supplying nationally. Moshe's was an Ortjet business, started off very small. And look at him today. Honey's ice cream. Who would ever think that you could make money from ice cream? She has an incredible business. So, dig deep, never give up, and try things, try different things. Ellis, what are your thoughts?
I also think that part of what we do at Ort, for those of you that are not on the program, is we put people together. So in terms of the Ortjet values and pillars, we offer the mentorship, we offer upskilling by means of our training, and we offer networking opportunities. So we will be having a business networking forum at the beginning of December, where we invite not only Ortjet businesses, but any businesses out there to come in and meet each other. We try and promote the Ortjet businesses on our program as much as we can. So we have an Ortjet business directory where we put up your business logo, we put up a few lines on what you do, and we encourage the other businesses on our program to use your services. And that is our way of ensuring that we are supporting local and supporting internal. So if anyone is interested to hear more about that, you're welcome to contact me. I will put my email in the chat box. I see that Jackie's put her details in, Brad's put his details in. And I think it's like Helene said, let's network, let's support each other as much as we can. And, an idea, like Brad, you said, your idea came from like a few rands in your pocket, and it's literally a fully fledged, operational, exciting new business. So Ellis, over to you. Is there anything that you'd like to add before Larry and Annie join us?
Very, very difficult there, Trace. The situation is actually based a lot on the market that you historically were addressing. Has that market actually become redundant, not only through COVID, but through evolution? There are other issues. COVID has been an accelerator of downgrade. We've been seeing this downgrade now for the last 10 years. And a lot of businesses that really suffered were actually on maybe the wrong path at that time. So the rethink is quite important. And one has to analyze your own skill and be quite circumspect about where you have been. It might be totally wrong that things were actually becoming quite redundant. I know it's a negative thought, but it is realism, unfortunately. Things are changing so rapidly. The rules, I mean, to imagine that someone is prepared to pay 150 Rand to collect a 3 Rand SIM tells you the value of time, how time has become so important, which Elaine and everybody else and Jackie has discussed. So there are a lot of issues that need rethinking, and collaboration is the best way to stimulate thought. One of the disadvantages, which has been mentioned previously in other things, and I keep retaining this thought, one of the disadvantages of this Zoom is the lack of collaboration through informal discussion. One inspires by talking to other people, and forums like what we're going through now must have spin-off, positive spin-off. That's my thoughts.
Thanks, Ellis. So we've been joined by Larry and Annie Hodes, and their story is the Gourmet Grocer. It was a pandemic success story where they literally transformed their restaurant into a gourmet grocer overnight. And we thank you, Larry, for joining us, and we look forward to hearing about how you did this and the challenges, the successes, and the insight that you can offer anyone on this call. So Larry and Annie, welcome, and thank you so much.
Well, Tracy, thank you very much for having us. Yeah, well, we're excited to be here and excited to be part of this journey. So what would you like us just to give you a brief history of how we got there? And okay, cool.
Yes, please.
What's that?
Yes, please.
Yes, please. Okay, cool. With pleasure. So, so obviously restaurants were very hard hit, from a COVID point of view. And, and I think it's still continuing. And, but our story goes that on the 1st of May, when delivery was allowed, so we started doing the Dark Kitchen, which is our little brand that's downstairs, which is only on delivery. So we started doing that. And then I can't remember the date. It was the Wednesday before Mother's Day. Annie and I were literally standing on the floor, and still it was Voodoo Lily as such, the old Voodoo Lily, and all the tables were there. And we were thinking to ourselves, what are we going to do for Mother's Day? And in the back of our minds also, we've just been thinking about a grocer, nothing more. And, maybe it was still what would have happened maybe a month or two later. And Annie said, why don't we just go onto WhatsApp and Facebook, and go and see, so we basically said, is there anybody who's got artisanal, bespoke, unique products, that'll be suitable for Mother's Day? And by the way, please, we can only do on consignment, because obviously, we had almost no cash at that time. And then, the response was absolutely incredible. I promise you, it was absolutely amazing. Like literally 24 hours later, it was the birth of the Gourmet Grocer, because it was really a brilliant collaboration with local small suppliers who either normally sold to restaurants or at markets, but they weren't able to do that. So they needed us, we needed them. And like I say, it was literally just a brilliant collaboration. And from there, the business, we've just managed to grow and grow. And we're really blessed. We've been so fortunate, that everything has been, that a lot of things have been working for us. Yes, and we made a lot of mistakes, because, I'm a restaurateur, give me restaurants and everything. I'm able to, analyze a restaurant profit model, understand the profit model and everything. But retail is all new to me and new to Annie, because Annie obviously brings her Angelfish PR, her PR background. So we've made quite a lot of mistakes along the way, but overall, it's just been an incredible journey.
So,
do you want to
go? So I can just add that, we found ourselves with 3 restaurants during lockdown, 50 staff, like 0 income, obviously, besides my income, which, my business is a lot smaller than Larry's.
I'm just plugging in, but carry on, Annie.
And we had to make a plan. And unfortunately, there have been so many restaurants that have gone bang. It's been devastating. But Larry and I were just lucky that we were able to think out of the box. Not to say that we didn't lose one of our restaurants. One of our restaurants we had to close down because it's a live music venue, and you know that didn't work out. And we've kept Arbor Cafe as a restaurant. We literally had to make a plan, and this one little business is now, you know, supporting. We've got basically all our staff back at work, and there's a lot of suppliers that are able to make an income. I do think things are opening up now, so thank God things are a bit better. But I mean, during lockdown, there was, for example, one chap who makes chilies. Now he was in construction before. He had no income, so he started making chilies, chili sauces. You know, there's just been a lot of people who sort of phoned and said, you know, what can we do? And then Larry will sort of guide them. Larry's a trainer and a coach, so he'll sort of guide them and we'll help them with branding. We've had a lot of people who've come in and also started making various things where they weren't actually supplying stores as well. So it's been great, I think, for a lot of people on many levels. Larry?
Yeah, and you know what, so, and out of this also is we managed to, you know, it's amazing how it just, you know, call it a shame, the universe or whatever, how it works is, you know, then, you know, one of the things that we realized was that during the, I think it was level 4, you know, when people were allowed out of their house and things like that, Voodoo Lily, the gourmet grocer, became a central hub, you know, for the local community. And we actually managed to more than double our sales on coffee. You know, so that got me really thinking about, you know what, I'd love to get into, you know, having a roastery and everything like that. And, you know, I started searching around and looking at roasters and things. And then Annie said to me, why don't you just go and, why don't you call Marco, who's my current coffee supplier, who supplies me at Arbor and at Voodoo, you know, and see what his thoughts are. And he said to me, you know what, Larry, I think you're in luck because I've just moved out of my property, you know, and I need a place, you know, to go and roast. And he wanted to get into retail. I wanted to get into retail, you know, so out of this also, you know, because of that, you know, Kofefe Roastery, coffee roastery was born out of this.
So a lot of things sort of came together. And I think the thing is, you know, collaborations are really important. Initially, Larry was sort of looking at getting his own roastery. And I said to him, you know, we're not going to add coffee roasting to our load now, let's face it.
No, at least because then people wouldn't drink the coffee. You know, let me run businesses, not to.
But, you know, with collaborating with Marco, you know, it's really helped him because his sales were down. He was really battling and panicking, not knowing what he was going to do. So I think with collaborations, your former speaker was saying, you know, by collaborating, you can just get so much further. And yeah, so it's really what.
Yeah, it's about, you know what, it's about partnerships. It's about partnerships and I suppose, you know what, one of the things, even when things were tough, you know, what made me feel better was knowing that there's other people, you know, that are in similar positions as us and things like that. But there's always people looking for opportunities, you know, and but you've got to be aware of those opportunities. And I know, you know, it's just from my business coach, my coaching point of, you know, perception, not perception. That's the way, you know, the way it is that, you know, often when a crisis like this hits, you know, people get so stuck into the negative, you know, that it's the end. Oh no, what am I going to do and everything, you know? And at the same time, while we're stuck in that negative, unfortunately, you know, then what happens? We only see the negative out there, you know, that's all, you know? But yet if you focused on the negatives, you're missing out on all the positives, on all the opportunities rather. There's, you know, because there's always opportunities around. There's always, it doesn't matter. But unfortunately, if you switched on with a negative mindset, you know, that's all your brain is going to see. That's how we all programmed. You know, please, I'm not saying that I wasn't negative and it's just so easy. And yeah, I had quite a few moments. I'm thinking, you know what, how are we going to deal with this? And, you know, pay and things like that. But one thing that I know, you know, even at the times of crisis, you know, there are always opportunities, and it's about how we choose to see the world. And this for both Annie and I, you know, was a key perspective. You know, because I don't, you know, it sounds like, you know, that what Annie and I did was unique, but at the end of the day, I don't believe it's unique. And what I mean by that is that there are a lot of places that also had opportunity to go and do this, but maybe, they were caught up in the negativity of it all, that they never thought about it. And what I'm saying is that we never did something brilliant out of this world. It's just, it was
our model.
We just changed our model by thinking, that there are opportunities, and that's, and that's what I was, and that's what I was saying also is that once you start going through the process, Hashem, universe, and that, they start working with you. Everything just starts working with you. Like I say, with a coffee roastery, a coffee roaster costs any 4, 5, 600,000, whatever it is. Next thing, I literally, well, it's not that I got one for free, but it came, it's sitting there, at my place, and I never paid for it.
Well, it's a partnership.
No, it's a partnership. Yeah,
which comes with the machine, yes.
Yes, yeah.
And I don't know how much time we've got left, but just some of the mistakes we made. We really made a lot of mistakes, but I think you learn and you only come out stronger. So, for example, somebody would bring in jam and they'd say, okay, well, here's a thing of jam. You can have it for 50 and you could sell it for 65, 70. And in the beginning, we were just sort of like, just flying by the seat of our pants kind of thing. Would be like, cool. And then only literally about 2 months later did Larry suddenly go, oh, shucks. So we're actually paying VAT on every single outgoing sale. And, 90% of these people aren't VAT registered. So there were some things where we were actually even making like a little bit of a loss or not making any money at all. But anyway, that was just something that we learned, and obviously we've refined it and it's got better and better as it's gone along. So yeah, don't be afraid of making mistakes. Everybody makes them, and it's the only way you can grow.
So I think also just adding to that, people come to me and say, when's a good time to start a business? It's just, what you must do is just go and start. And I really believe that one of the things that has enabled us, to get to this point is that we moved very quickly. Come and say 10 years ago, I'd actually call myself a perfectionist. Where, if I wanted to do something, I always made sure that what T's were crossed and the I's dotted and, made sure that everything was perfect, before I did it. And I also had a manager, was with me when we started this. And he said to me, but you know what, you need to do this. You can't just go and do this. How's it going to look to the public, and everything. And I thought, what? Well, if I'm not going to start, and by the time I've overanalyzed everything, it's really just going to take too long. So, and I think that was key, for Annie and I, to getting to where we were was moving quickly. And what the thing was that we were prepared to make mistakes. We were prepared to fail. And like I said, like Annie said, there have been, there were quite a few failures, quite a few big failures. But the only way we knew, if it was going to work or not, was by doing it. And trying. Otherwise, we might have still been thinking about it, 3 months later.
And
I don't know, are we talking too much? I don't know. Yeah. Are they supposed to be asking questions or where are we?
Your time is absolutely perfect. And just listening to you both, you are the most incredible duo. I must say, from personal experience, Arbor was my go-to place for my, and I've told this to Larry before, for my hot orange, lemon, ginger, and cinnamon. Out of this world. And I personally came into the Gourmet Grocer myself during, the stages of lockdown. The coffee is exceptional. And I think so much of what you both say, and I've heard you speak on the radio, you do such incredible work for Ortjet. You allowed Ortjet businesses to bring their produce into your supermarket as such, to try and help them. We are so grateful to you from our side.
Look, it was a bigger thing for us. It was a bigger thing for us having Ortjet than maybe the Gourmet Grocer, really.
Thank you.
It was incredible. And the Sunday market that you put on, and I know that we personally worked tirelessly to get a whole batch of chocolates together to get to you to try and sell. So what you've done for us has been incredible. And I think so many times in business, and Ellis is on and he's smiling, and I know he's going to say something very soon, we overthink, we over-strategize, we plan, we over-analyze. and we don't just sometimes go for it. And I think so many business success stories come from just the idea and then the jumping in. I often think when you think, and I'm very much a planner as well, how to do it, when are we going to do it, what's the right time, should this be done, to just kind of dive in and take it by the reins and go from there. I'm not sure if you have met Ellis. Ellis is chairman of Ort SA, and he's joined us online. So Ellis, I'm going to try to keep quiet for a few seconds.
Hello, Ellis.
Hi, Ellis.
Hi guys. Hell, it's inspirational, isn't it, to hear the good stories? We've been so swamped with all the bad stories. It is a wonderful thing. But the whole thing is, one mustn't be scared. I suppose, if you don't try it, you can't make it. Someone said something quite interesting a while back. They said all the failures in life are actually road signs pointing you in the right direction. Something to think about. It is quite important. And you can't succeed without trying. That's all it is. The guts it takes to reprofile yourself is another story. But of course, when there are bills to be paid, kids to feed, and you're sitting at the end of the month, at the end of the week, at the end of the day, it's quite tragic that we drown ourselves in our own sorrow and our own problems. And somehow you have to lift up. We've got to, there are two types of entrepreneurs. There are those out of necessity and those out of discovering a niche. And unfortunately, necessity is now top of mind. It's what we've got to do. Entrepreneurial skill is not something that you can teach. Entrepreneurial skill is due to the necessity of things. It's due to instinct. It's a difficult one. But there are also people who don't have those attributes, but still make it because of resilience. And that's all I can say is let's just cooperate as much as we can. Let's collaborate as much as we can. We're going to stimulate each other. And I think this is one of the core functions of Ort, is the collaboration that we can achieve where one can inspire another. And thank you all very much for your input.
Wonderful. And thank you very much.
I know we have Laurie coming on.
Nice. So nice to see you, Larry and Annie. I'll never forget the day when I went for a run in the area and I just heard this music and I was like, where is this coming from? There's an atmosphere, because everything was so negative. Everyone was down. Everyone was at home. And I saw you and Annie outside there, outside the Gourmet Grocer selling coffee with music on outside. And I just thought, wow, we're back. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, brilliant. Brilliant. Thanks.
I've got a question for Elaine. How do you handle your husband, Steve? He is an absolute...
No, Elaine, not you. No, don't worry.
Steve is actually one of our dragons who interrogate a lot of things, and his input is invaluable. And I can see a little bit of Steve in Elaine's approach to things, very pragmatic.
Do I have to answer that? How do I handle him?
You're being recorded. Just be very careful.
Yes, I know. Let's just say that we make a very good a good team. A lot of the time, what Steve says pushes boundaries, pushes buttons, flies over my head, bring him back into things, and then a lot of the time I will say things and he brings me back. So let's just say that we make an excellent team.
Great, thank you. I endorse that.
Thanks, Ellis.
So I'd like to end off today by saying